Hello, everyone. Welcome to HBCU Game Day. We got a lot of football to discuss. We're going to have some fun today. But first, on a serious note, today is September 11th. It's a day that has gone down in history, a day where Americans, all Americans, should be united and together for the things that happened on September 11th, 2001. But here we are, September 11th, 2025, and we have several HBCUs closed today as of the time that we're sitting here talking today. Virginia State University, Hampton, Southern University, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse. The list could be growing throughout today, and they're all closed because of potential threats of violence on those campuses. It has been a week where we have seen political violence in this country. It has been a violent era. Really, for the last decade, it has been amped up here in this country. There are no two sides to violence. There is no left and right. There is only violence and nonviolence. I would ask that you please leave HBCUs out of this fight. This is not our fight of violence. There are many things to discuss. There are many things on the table. The option of violence is not one of those. And we wish safety to all of our students, all of our teachers, and all of our faculty members to HBCUs across the country on what has been a tumultuous start to a Thursday on September 11th, 2025. So from there, there's no easy transition, but let's transition to sports anyhow. Again, this is HBCU Game Day. I'm Tolly Carr. Let's bring in Simone Stanley. Simone's coming off a big weekend for her. She was crowned the, what should we call you? You need
to have that together
tailgate bench press champion. You have to follow Simone on social media. She went up to Philadelphia for the big, Thursday night game last week. She was in the tailgate area and she moseyed on over and they had this bench press competition for the ladies and Simone just shattered the record. So,
all that work in the gym, it's got to go somewhere, right?
It worked off. You look good. You look good. Another former Eagle was looking good because he got his first win. Let's check out the reaction. Michael Vick, now 1-1 as head coach at Norfolk State University. They got the win in a thrilling game against Virginia State over the weekend. It was back and forth. It looked like Virginia State had it, then Norfolk had it, then Virginia State had it. Goes to overtime. You see the winning field goal right there. What do you think it means for former Eagle Michael Vick getting that first win as a coach? He looks pretty excited.
Right. I mean, we can see what it means. You see the emotion, the passion, the excitement from everyone. And you could just tell Michael Vick just walking on the field, soaking up the moment, taking it all in, living in the moment. You could just see the emotion from this amazing camera work. Shout out to Joshua Williams, cameraman on the field, capturing history at Norfolk State for this Michael Vick era. I know that game was crazy. Our HBCU Game Day Slack was blowing up with Josh on the field, giving us the timely updates. And like you said, we're down to the wire. Thought Virginia State had it. Thought Norfolk had it. When it's a rivalry game like that, you want a game. And they gave us one down to the final second in overtime. So shout out to Coach Vick. It was a lot of winning for Eagles country this week.
How big was that win? How important was that win? You don't want to lose to your rival. You don't want to lose to your CIAA Division II rival in Virginia State.
Yeah. You don't want to lose to your rival. You don't want to start the season 0-2, even though it's a new era, new regime with Michael Vick being the head coach. Week one, it was rusty week one. A lot of adjustments had to be made. A lot of questions were raised. A lot of people had, the file on the desk for what was going on over there at Norfolk. But they definitely laid all questions. If any doubters arised after week one, they lay that all to rest in that game. Big performances from the quarterbacks, great play calling from the coaches. So this Norfolk State team is for real. And yes, the rival is a Division II rival. But we know in these HBCU landscapes, D2, D1 rivalries, everyone's playing up to the same level, playing up to their competition. So big win regardless of the division level.
Hey, big state, little state. This one goes to Norfolk State. Now, some people, like to trade out who's the big state, who's the little state. I'm not going to get in that. You talked about quarterbacks. It looks like we're going to have a new starting quarterback at Norfolk State. A little storyline there. Let's go to Michael Vick's press conference this week and see what he had to say about the quarterback position.
The game This week with Otto, we'll give him a chance to go out there and be out there from start to finish, hopefully, and barring his health, and just you go out there and just try to relax and get a feel for the game. And so I always hang on the fact that we got two good quarterbacks, and now it's an opportunity for Isreal to learn vicariously and take every single rep serious, whether it's on the second team, whether it's on the scout team. Every rep matters. That's how I became the player I became in college, from getting good reps on the scout team and then taking it to live game action. And so there's a lot of ways to improve in the game of football, and you can't take it for granted. That's why we always say every snap matters.
What specifically made you come to that final decision of starting Otto over this week?
Yeah, I want my players to know that I can see everything that's going on, and that I can actually see them and hear them on the sideline. From the standpoint of talking to Isreal, I know when I sense frustration, and I don't want a quarterback out there that's somewhat frustrated and questioning certain things or not feeling comfortable. You got to be comfortable playing the quarterback position. And so not to say that it was always that way. Our team needed a spark. We needed some energy, and I think we had another three and out late in the third quarter, and time was just running out. And so, I've told y'all since the spring that we had two good quarterbacks, and both of them was going to play. One's a little younger than the other. The other one is, he's truly a senior. He has a great feel for the game also. And so, we want to give those guys a chance to go out there and produce and just be accountable for their teammates. And so, now they got to continue to be the best teammates that they can be, work together. And, for Isreal, you never know when you're going to get back out there. So, you got to take every rep serious.
So there's Michael Vick talking about his quarterback. So Isreal Carter gets the start. Otto Kuhns came in both games and really kind of gave him that lift. And he talked about the frustration that he saw on the sideline. So, the quarterback position is not only about what you do on the field, it's how you conduct yourself when you're back on the sidelines. You got to remain cool under pressure no matter what's happening out there.
Absolutely. And we didn't get to hear Otto speak today, but when he spoke after the game, he was saying how he was on the sidelines, even though the team was down in the fourth quarter. He was telling his teammates, it's still plenty of time. We can score 3 to 4 touchdowns in this quarter. So that's just that energy that you're bringing as the quarterback. You're always the leader on the team. The team goes as you go. So you always have to have, your head held high and the right mindset. Because nobody's going to believe if they don't believe in who they have under center. So yeah. Otto carrying that energy from the sidelines, being the spark plug in the game, 2 touchdowns, came in the game, 2 touchdowns, 173 yards in that final quarter. Obviously, Norfolk State getting the win. So, you got to roll with a hot hand.
Well, in 2 games this year, Otto Kuhns, 32 of 47 passing. Isreal Carter, 13 of 21. I thought maybe Isreal just is getting a lot of yards on the ground. Well, even Otto has more rushing yards as well. So he's beating him out across the board. And a big part of that win and was a big part of trying to turn things around in the first game as well. So he's the veteran. He's a holdover. He was there with the previous regime, and we have seen him do good things in the MEAC. So it looks like he's going to be the man moving forward. And I think, Simone, when you're there's a lot of teams like this in HBCU football. They're playing 2 guys, and, it's back and forth. I always think it's better when you just make a choice.
I agree. So it's good that going into game 3, a decisive decision is made for the quarterback's psyche, their mentality, you know what I mean? And also for the team to know who's that guy, who they're leaning on, who is the leader of this group. So it's good to know going into week 3, early going into week 3, because the decision was made, 2 days ago? That they know who they're leaning on.
Yeah. Rough day in the MEAC. It was an out-of-conference kind of get your money games last week. Delaware State got the win. We're going to talk about them in a second. Howard loses big to Temple. Central loses big to Old Dominion. South Carolina State did not look bad against South Carolina. That's a game, a SEC program. They're not expected to do well. They put 10 points on the board, only lost 38-10. I'll take the money and a respectable showing. Yeah. Morgan State got the win over Towson, so that was good. Let's talk about Delaware State. They looked good in their first game. They won their second game.
Morgan State got the win over Towson.
Yeah. Did I say it wrong?
Nah, you either gave me the wrong sheet or you said it wrong. I got 27-22 Townsend.
Oh, yes. I said it wrong. I gave you the right sheet,
Them
and I said it wrong.
for nothing.
Woo. Let me get these things clean, baby. Because that screen clearly says.
I was about to say, wait, hold on.
Townsend 27,
What?
Morgan 22. Let me clean
The
these
one
up.
day we come with some notes and he ain't even looking at them.
I was looking at them. My eyes got a little crossed. Morgan fans, I'm sorry if I got you excited. You indeed did lose that game, but not bad. 27-22. Thank you for that catch. Let's get back to Delaware State. They got the win. They're now 1-1. People picked them to finish last in the preseason, but they have not looked so bad this year.
Not at all. Week 1, they played against Delaware, lost that game, but we talked about it. A lot of promise was showed in that game, and it carried over into week 2 against Albany. Delaware State able to get the win. Coach,
we got the highlights. Roll the highlights.
Yeah, come on, everyone see me. Come on.
There we go. Look at that.
Tolly sleep, producer sleep.
I'm not asleep. I just can't see. I'm getting blinded by the wind. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so Delaware State gets the win over Albany. There
the marching bands just got a little more pep in their step. Winning cures a lot of things.
Knees getting a little higher.
Yeah.
Knees getting up a little higher now that, you're winning over there. Yeah, so Delaware State and the Powder Blues, baby, they got the win over Albany. So Coach Jackson got his first win with Delaware State. Coach Vick gets his first win with Norfolk State. Like, this storyline, obviously, D-Jack and Michael Vick are always going to be, tied together from what they did in the NFL and then seeing it carry over to the HBCU space. Story written beautifully, and for them both to get their first wins in the same week, that's crazy. So I love it.
And Delaware might continue to ride high. Look,
right.
They have Bowie State coming up this week. No disrespect to Bowie State, but there's a Division II versus Division I matchup. So Delaware State should have the advantage there. Norfolk State's taking on Rutgers. That's going to be a long Saturday for Norfolk State if we just keep it 100.
But yeah, Delaware State, they look great. Marquise Gillis, the running back, he followed up on his performance from week 1. He had 154 yards, a rushing touchdown. Quarterback Caden Bennett looked great, 180 yards passing, 103 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. So that 1-2 punch, that tandem with the quarterback and the running back both being able to get things going on the ground, that's a dangerous team. And we saw it week 1 against against Delaware, weren't able to get the win. But we saw a lot of promise, so it's good to know, that it wasn't just a week 1 type of thing.
Some exciting matchups on paper this weekend in the MEAC. We got Howard and Morehouse. They got their big classic going on. Bethune-Cookman, South Carolina State, a little MEAC reunion. In North Carolina Central, Fayetteville State, 2 old CIAA foes. Central now in the MEAC, of course. So that's going to be a game that will probably draw a lot of fans because a lot of people within that area have ties to those schools. But Delaware State looking pretty good so far. All right, let's get into the SWAC. It is SWAC game day now, and let's bring in our guy, Wilton Jackson. He's been waiting in the wings. Wilton, sir, we're going into week 3 of SWAC football. Your biggest takeaway, the one thing that jumped out to you last weekend in the SWAC.
2 things. We're going to have some good football in the SWAC, and I think that goes without saying. But 2, Andrew Body at Alabama State. I know for me, coming into that game against Southern, I wanted to see what was his performance of what he produced against UAB was going to translate into going up against Southern, which I didn't necessarily think that it wasn't. But it definitely showed that he is that guy, especially in these first couple of weeks. And if he continues that, the SWAC East and the SWAC at large are basically any team is about to be in trouble because dude is on one right now. I think when you look at Jackson State, I was at that game against Southern Miss. The score
roll the highlights, Miles. I'm sorry, Wilton. Go ahead.
That score is not as indicative of what that game really looked like. Of course, obviously, Southern Miss went on to win in the 4th quarter, but this was like a 17-7, 17-10 game at halftime. And a couple things I took away. Jackson State's offensive line is strong. They were able to run the ball against Southern Miss. Defense didn't play bad. Special teams needs to be tightened. This is definitely going to be a good Jackson State team this season, which we all pretty much kind of predicted. So I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next over the next couple of weeks.
All right, we got to get Miles together. He's showing Delaware State highlights. All right, we got highlights from Jackson State and Southern Miss. How close was that game, Wilton? I mean, they didn't win. They weren't expected to win, but they didn't go down there and get mollywopped. Like, they didn't, get 70-0. What was it like there in Hattiesburg?
So the atmosphere in Hattiesburg was good. I think when you look at the game, it was kind of quiet after that first half, because I think people may have thought, not necessarily Jackson State fans, but more so maybe like Southern Miss or people that haven't had a chance to really watch both teams before, that Jackson State, some of them may have been surprised that Jackson State was able to run the ball the way that they were. I mean, they had strong runs from Ahmad Miller, from Travis Terrell. I think the biggest thing that really hurt them, and we were kind of talking about this in the press box, was that first touchdown they gave up in the special teams when he got blocked, and Southern Miss took advantage of that in scoring on that drive. So I think the final score of the game was like 38-20. But if you really think about it, they didn't really break away until the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. And so it says a lot when you can say that your team, an FCS team, can compete with an FBS program in the Sun Belt, and it wasn't 55-7. Or it wasn't 45-3. It was a pretty decent margin of a game. That says a couple things. It says that, you know what, when you get back to conference play, and when you get into conference play, not only should you have a good team, but you should have a pretty dominant team too, if it translates within your other opponents.
TC Taylor, I had a chance to talk to him this week. I'm doing the game on SWAC TV, Jackson State and Tuskegee. He wants Jacoby and more. Oh, look, that's just so rude. There.
Now, y'all know y'all supposed to edit that out. The kids is watching.
we got to keep look. We got to show you exactly the atmosphere of the game.
Not the do-rag in the huddle.
Jacoby and Morgan, he wants him to look downfield and connect more on the vertical passing game. Well, what do you think about the long game so far for Jackson State? We know what they're doing running the ball, Wilton. How about their stretching the opposing defense?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Coach Taylor's right. I mean, I agree with him. I think everybody sees that in just in the first couple of games, not even just the Southern Miss game. We could even go back and talk about the Hampton game. Of course, Jacobian, there's a safety net when he can basically throw the ball out to the flats on like a screen type pass, and it goes for 30 or 40 yards. But to win games and win them in dominant ways, he's going to have to put the ball in the air and get it to his receivers. And the thing is, he has legit wide receivers that can go after and get it. Like a Jonas Fortillion, like a Shamar Savage, like a Janalen Dupree, Nate Rimbert, who they brought in from Mississippi Valley. So they have the weapons. I think more so than anything, he has to find that confidence or regain that confidence. Or I guess I shouldn't say he's lost it, but just kind of find that rhythm that he hasn't had in these first 2 weeks. And I feel like once he does that, I think they're going to be fine.
Ivory is the defensive star of this team. He started out as a quarterback at Mississippi Valley State, didn't play a lot, went to JUCO, changed positions, comes over to Jackson State from Florida. He's what I'm calling literally like James Houston 2.0 for Jackson State.
Yeah, no, that's literally when I first saw him play. In the impact that he had in that Hampton game, I said, this is almost similar to a James Houston type story. And if that's the case, that bodes well for Jackson State, because the last couple of years they've had these top-notch defenders to be able to put pressure on quarterbacks. And so when you look at Ivory, that's what he's been able to do. And I really see him continuing to be able to do that. And the fact that he was able to do it against a Southern Miss team, an FBS opponent in the Sun Belt, I think it bodes well for him. And I think that it's going to be important, especially when you start talking about games that are coming up against SWAC quarterbacks that are typically known to move, right? So you think about, I just mentioned one of them, Andrew Body. He's definitely a dual threat quarterback. What does that matchup look like against Alabama State? Oh, by the way, Jackson State plays Alabama State for homecoming. So, having a defensive lineman like Ivory to put pressure on Andrew Body and other quarterbacks in the SWAC, I think it's going to only help Jackson State moving forward.
All right, and we see that Jacoby and Morgan needs to stay healthy. The backup comes into that game. Interception on the first pass against Southern Miss. So you see how valuable Morgan is. Let's bring Simone Stanley back in the conversation. We talked about Ivory. He comes over from Florida. They saw he didn't have big numbers at Florida, but they saw his talent. Simone, when NFL teams are looking and they see similar storylines, they're like, oh, this guy is a lot like James Houston. He came from Florida, went to the FCS level, started to dominate there if his numbers continue like they have so far in the first couple of games. Or do you think NFL teams are comfortable when they see storylines that look familiar when it comes to evaluating talent and taking a chance with those draft picks?
Absolutely. I mean, representation matters, you know. When these scouts are going to these programs, finding talent, if the talent comes to the NFL level, really pops out. Really want to shout out Javon Hargrave because last week one of the big games was Vikings versus Bears, and Javon Hargrave was just popping off the screen. So shout out to him, HBCU to NFL story. But yeah, when you see players coming from these programs and they're in the NFL level tearing it up, then you're like, let me go back to South Carolina State. Let me find the next Javon Hargrave because you know this program develops great talent. They can recruit great talent. So yeah, representation matters.
And what team does James Houston play for again?
The little boys, but I ain't see him on Thursday night. Now, you know, got love for the family, but not on Thursdays, Sundays, Mondays, whenever we see y'all. I ain't see him on Thursday night. So I
just got to get you to say them little boys every week. Wilton, we have some friends that are FAMUans. They're kind of feeling like, from what I've been hearing, this might not be their year. Is there time for FAMU to turn things around? And haven't got the conference play. Do you see the Rattlers any potential to turn things around?
You know, Tolly, yes, it's always possible because of what you just said, because they're not in conference play. But I can guarantee you, for the last 3 to 4 years, we've grown accustomed to Jackson State, FAMU, Alabama State, somewhere in the mix in the SWAC East, potential contenders to win the SWAC. Right now, they don't look like a SWAC East or SWAC championship contender. I was just reading a story on the Tallahassee Democrat from Coach Cozy, and he was saying that, you know, after this loss, of course, it was a loss, a non-conference loss this weekend, but he was saying, like, basically all positions are open for basically competition. And I mean, that just goes to say that, you know, I read somewhere in the story where it was saying, like, you know, receivers dropping passes, players are not in sync like they need to be. This is not the FAMU that we've been accustomed to seeing. So do I think that this is a team that can get it together? Yes. But they need to get it. They need to get it together quickly. And I can assure you this, although they're playing a lower division opponent this weekend in Albany State, don't take Albany State lightly. Like, this is a team that's hungry to get a win against a SWAC school. And more so than anything, it's a program that's going to give the Rattlers fits. So I hope that the adjustments made from the first week when they lost to Howard and then this past week, that they're prepared.
And that was hungry or hungry? Was that a U or an O?
Nah, you petty.
We do this with Wilton every time.
You know he said hungry.
On this, for the Rattlers, I need it with an O at this point.
You need them to be hungry. All right. Look, let's not downplay Albany State. I want to reinforce that. Right now, they're the team to beat in the SIAC. They've been putting up a lot of points, and I think they feel as confident as they have ever felt coming into Tallahassee, and their head coach is a former Rattler himself, in Quinn Gray.
Absolutely. And so that's why I said, you know, when thinking about the level of the yards that they've been able to put up, the stats they've been able to put up, like, they're not afraid of FAMU. And again, if I'm Albany State, I'm thinking to myself, there's nothing that FAMU has shown me to show me that, you know what, they're going to truly stop us. They're going to lock us down. Because I think people forget that this is a FAMU team that lost quite a bit of players from last year's team. And more so in previous years where they had a lot of depth. Now it's like, yes, they've regained other players, but, like, you know, with each program, each year after year, you have to continue to rebuild and reload. And so this might be one of those years where it may take a little bit more time to see what you really have on your team, to Coach Cozy's point. But again, when you coach for a program like FAMU and the fans, those Rattler fans, they're going to let you hear when you're not winning games. So hopefully this will be a win for them this week. But again, it's definitely going to be some competition.
Albany State says, what do you mean? Hopefully this will be a win. Simone, you be in the streets. You be in the streets. What would the streets be saying? What would the streets be saying if Albany State gets a win?
If I'm supposed to say it, because I know we friends with everybody, they already coming for this man's job.
Really?
Yeah.
You think?
I mean, I've seen it on the apps.
Okay, I didn't.
They was coming for his job last week.
Wow, that's a little early.
I'm gonna just leave it at this man.
That's a little early, don't you think? A little early.
I'm just saying what the street said.
Okay, that's why I asked you.
Streets was coming for his job last week, so a loss this week. You know, they don't play on them apps. HBCU X, HBCU Facebook, they don't mess around.
Would it be that serious, Wilton? Would that cause conversation and talk at FAMU if they did not handle business against Albany State?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he gets fired, after this week, but I guarantee you, to Simone's point, there's been a lot of chirping coming out of Tallahassee. And if they don't come up with this win, even if they come up with this win and it's too close for comfort, there's still going to be some chatter coming out of FAMU, because this is a program. Again, think about some of the heavy hitting programs amongst HBCU football. So you're talking about like your Southern, your Jackson State, your South Carolina States, the programs like that. These fans expect their teams to win every week, year in and year out. And at FAMU, it is totally no different from any other program. So if they don't win, that chatter, the chirping that we've heard that Simone just alluded to, it's only gonna get bigger.
The hissing. They hissing.
All right, you all are connected to the street, so I'm gonna.
Tolly try to act like he'll be on the apps. He'll be on there.
I really don't. I'll be on ChatGPT trying to figure out something. Alabama A&M, Tennessee State. I think it's cute. It's a cute matchup. I like that. It's like, I like that. Alabama A&M, Tennessee State.
What makes it cute?
I mean, they're kind of close. They're not that far apart. It's it has the they signed that deal, so they're going to play for a few years. It just has the ingredients to maybe be a little something.
So it has potential.
It has potential. It has chutzpah.
I'm just wondering why you use cute.
That's just what came to my mind. Do you like it, Wilton? Alabama A&M, Tennessee State, this series that they're starting. I mean, I like the matchup.
No, I do. I like the matchup, but I think more than anything, it's very significant this year because you're talking about two coaches coming into the programs. It's their first season in these respective programs. Obviously, Sam Shade at Alabama A&M and Reggie Barlow coming into Tennessee State. And so this is an A&M team. If you remember, I've been pretty much kind of saying all season, Alabama A&M is one of those sleeper teams for me in the SWAC East. And Cornelius Brown is playing absolutely great football at quarterback for the Bulldogs. Had a phenomenal game against Alcorn last week. Of course, we know Alcorn has had its struggles, but I think this will be another great test for Coach Shade in a Tennessee State team that obviously still trying to figure some things out. They have their own quarterback issues, but specifically on that defensive side of the ball, I'm expecting them to probably present some challenges for Alabama A&M. So I really like that. And I think also when you start talking about Tennessee State and Reggie Barlow, we know that he's a champion. He's won everywhere he's gone. He's looking to kind of continue the success that Eddie George laid before him. And I think that, again, great litmus test for both programs and two coaches coming into these programs in their first seasons there. It really doesn't get any better than that.
All right, the SIAC is going to get 4 shots at the SWAC this weekend. And one of those games is going to be Alabama State and Miles. It wasn't that long ago. Miles was giving Alabama State fits at their own place. But this is a different Alabama State team. They got it all figured out at quarterback. It's a big rivalry. There's a lot of respect. A lot of players know each other. You see Eddie Robinson and his comments there on the screen. He acknowledges it as a rivalry game, and they'll be ready to play it. And they know, Wilton, they cannot this might not be the best Miles team this year as we've seen in years past, but there's enough recent history to know that Alabama State's not going to come into this just thinking, we're going to knock this out of the park.
It ain't cute.
Oh.
No, this one's a little rugged.
It's a little ugly.
A little rugged. They hungry down there in Alabama.
When I think about this, if I'm Alabama State, I'm all the way dialed in and locked in. Even though we know this is not that Miles team with Sam Shade from a couple years ago, this is a Alabama State team that needs to continue to take care of business. You don't want to give them any sense of inclination that they can compete and or win this game. So I obviously leaning into Alabama State all the way. I think that this is a Miles team that's, again, post Sam Shade, still trying to figure things out with Coach Chris Good. And so he has his hands full in figuring things out with Miles. So I think this will be, as long as Alabama State comes out with the same intensity, same mindset they've had in the last couple of weeks, I think they're going to be fine.
And you really like Is Body is he your favorite, your clubhouse favorite right now for Player of the Year in the SWAC?
I could go out on a limb to say that because of that first performance that he had against UAB, I didn't think that he would play bad. I just didn't necessarily know he was going to play that good. I mean, he pretty much had his way with UAB's defense. And then I said to myself, before I get on the hype train, before I, put all my eggs in a basket in a way to say that he's playing really, really well, let me see what he does against a Southern defense. And basically, he still had a strong game against Southern defense. So that's why I said, for someone like him playing as well as he's playing, if he continues that for any other team in the SWAC East and the SWAC at large, you better be ready for Andrew Body when he comes to town.
All right. Speaking of Southern, since you brought them up, we talked last week, Wilton. What would we learn from a Southern loss? The one thing that we learned is they now have a new offensive coordinator. Fred McNair is taking over, moving over from the quarterback's coach's position. Terrence Graves made that announcement this week. The Southern offense has been up and down, to say the least.
It has. And more so than anything, you talk about up and down, stagnant would be another word. And I think that when you talk about a coach like Fred McNair, who comes in that's going to be the offensive coordinator now, like he's no stranger to good quarterbacks and making offenses move. When he was at Alcorn always had dynamic quarterbacks. I think about Triggerman, when he was the quarterback, and like all those years that they were, going to the Celebration Bowl, and then also just, post years after that competing for SWAC championships. So if it's anybody that can put together and facilitate an offense and make the offense move and find that continuity, I definitely think it's Fred McNair. But to that point also, Southern still has quarterback situations. We know Jalen Woods is still dealing with the concussion situation. And then the next person in mind is Cameron McCoy. So now it's like, okay, is Cameron McCoy going to be the guy? And if he's going to be the guy for this week or, maybe for the rest of the season, what does that look like for Southern's team now on offense? Does it become more of a well, we know obviously Trey Holly's at running back, but is Cameron McCoy going to be able to put the ball downfield? Because I know that was an issue that, amongst other coaches and things like that in the SWAC, like, could he put the ball down, put the ball in the air and get it to the receivers down the field? We know he can run. He's a phenomenal running back as a quarterback, but we want to make sure that can he actually put the ball in the receiver's hands for Southern to get the ball moving for them.
Simone, I don't care how good your running backs are. We saw the explosiveness of Trey Holly. You and I were at the MEAC SWAC Challenge. If you can't pass the ball, all they're going to do is crowd the block. Yeah.
Still got to throw that pill at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Unless you have, like a Saquon Barkley or something.
Barry Sanders. Yeah. Something of that magnitude.
You have to at least be able to, take your check downs, manage the game. You still have to be able to throw that pill and protect the pill.
Yeah. If you can't throw it, the safeties are just going to come down, and you're just going to look up, and there's just going to be 11 right there. So, that sums up the Southern offense. They got to be able to pass the ball. Fred McNair has been a wizard in the SWAC, head coach for a long time, conference championship winning coach. So that is a big addition for them moving over to the offensive coordinator position. All right, Alcorn State. What, speaking of Fred McNair and where he used to be and winning championships, what do we know about Alcorn State? Have we figured out anything about them so far, Wilton?
Not really. That first game, I think it was a shock that they lost because you're talking about a loss to a program that hadn't won a game in 2 seasons or something like that. So I definitely feel like that was a shocking loss. I didn't predict them to beat Alabama A&M. I definitely gave the edge to Alabama A&M last week. So I think this is still an Alcorn team that's a work in progress. And I mean, going into week 3, you can potentially, get a chance to make those corrections and continue to improve. And I think, again, we're still in a part of the season that conference play hasn't really kicked in yet or anything of that nature. So everything is still alive. And what we know, Tyler and Simone, we all know that the SWAC West is wacky. It gets crazy after late September, early October, and on until November. It just gets crazy. Teams that may have been 0-3 or 0-4 to start the season, which included non-conference losses, and then when they get to conference play, it's a totally different team. So anything is still on the table and possible for Alcorn, but they would definitely have to make adjustments and get it right sooner rather than later.
All right, speaking of the West, Prairie View A&M, they have a tough matchup. They're taking on Rice this weekend. They've been, start out the season with the Labor Day Classic, then they've been out of conference for the last couple of weeks. What, if anything, have you been able to draw a conclusion on Tremaine Jackson and what he's doing there at Prairie View the first couple of weeks?
I think he has a team that's definitely buying in, and you can see that within the last 2 weeks. I think they're going to be okay. This is a team that, when you have when you're early in the season like this, your teams are really trying to figure out who they are. Like, granted, you've been spending so much time in fall camp and in practices playing against yourself. And so now that you're getting, to play against other opponents for the first time, you're getting a chance to see your strengths. You're getting a chance to see your weaknesses. And I think that with a coach like Tremaine Jackson, you can see from week 1 to week 2 that these players are definitely buying into his concepts. And I think that Prairie View, again, as we get closer into conference play, is definitely going to be a team to look out for when we start SWAC play.
All right, we talked about teams that really need a win. UAPB could use a win. Simone, I think they're playing Lincoln of California, which is a team that when you need a win, call on Lincoln. When you need healing, you call on the Lord. When you need a win, you call on not Lincoln of PA. No, Lincoln of California. Lincoln CA. So UAPB should win this weekend. If they don't, there's going to be some issues. But Coach Hampton's not taking things lightly against Lincoln. They're going to come in ready to play. Bethune-Cookman is another team that needs some wins, and it is not going to be easy. They got Chennisberry, South Carolina State this weekend at South Carolina State in Orangeburg, coming off a loss against Miami, not Miami of Ohio, Miami.
Not Miami of California?
No, Miami of Florida. So that was a tough one. It's not going to be an easy one this weekend against South Carolina State. I know we've kind of had our MEAC discussion, but we really didn't touch a lot on the Bulldogs not getting all that attention because of Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson. But I still think Chennisberry and the boys are the team to run through there in the MEAC.
Yeah, absolutely. They were picked number 1, right?
Yep.
In the MEAC. Yeah. So they're still looking strong. It's gonna be so good when we get into MEAC play. But yeah, obviously the Eagles have been stealing the headlines, but South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, they've been doing their jobs.
Wilton, you like the way she works in the Eagles every chance she can get.
I guarantee if it's anybody that's going to factor in a way to mention anything Philadelphia Eagles, Simone Stanley.
Tolly actually be starting the show with my birds. So, and it's relevant now for HBCUs.
It is. We'll give you that.
All right. Are Bethune fans expecting a win against South Carolina State? Do they have hope of a win, or is this a game where fans are like, let's just don't be ugly?
I think as a fan or fans of the program, they're expecting to win because you always want to see, if you're a fan of that program, you always want to see your program win. However, this is a tall task for Bethune-Cookman, and more so, I think a lot of people forget that Bethune-Cookman, while their record doesn't always show, specifically like last year, the record doesn't show a lot of wins. They were a team that in a lot of cases would be in games, but then they would shoot themselves in the foot with like penalties and miscues and things of that nature. So I think that going forward in a game like this against South Carolina State, it's a beginning of the season. Everything hasn't been ironed out with different teams. If they can, manage the turnovers and play clean, sound football, I think they'll be okay. I don't expect them to win. I won't even necessarily say it's going to be like a touchdown game that they lose. It could be anywhere from maybe like 10 to 14 points that they lose by. But to keep it close and to keep it competitive, I think that would be the goal, in my opinion.
All right, Texas Southern, they're taking on Lamar. Regionally, we could have some excitement there. Lamar is not a name that just jumps out to HBCU fans, but it's going to be an out-of-conference affair for Texas Southern. We saw them a pretty exciting game in the Labor Day Classic that came up short against Prairie View A&M. Wilton, have you seen any improvement this year with Chris Dishman and his squad?
I think when you start talking about Chris Dishman, the players buying into his concepts, specifically, I'm looking at the quote right now, we expect our defense to be high up in the SWAC. They definitely going to be pretty legit on defense. This is a Lamar team that, for those that may not know, with Texas Southern, I think it could be potentially possible for them to keep this game close. The reason I say that is because this is a Texas Southern team that only lost to California 35-3. Now, granted, you're probably thinking like, well, that was still a blowout. However, in previous years or previous seasons, that game could have potentially been 55-7 or something like that. So I think that this game is not necessarily as far-fetched in terms of it's going to be a blowout like 30-0 at halftime. So I think that this will be another great test for Texas Southern against a non-conference opponent to continue to prepare for what SWAC play starts.
Simone, let us find out that Wilton is in on point spreads. He's out here throwing spreads, what they could have been, should have been, might have been. Come out
with the FanDuel deal next week. Betting on these HBCU games.
Wilton's like,
hey, man, I'm not a bettor. I wouldn't even be good at it.
Yeah, me either. But I was in on that Powerball last week. Lord, I had a whole game plan.
Y'all love Powerballs, y'all generation.
Oh, you saying that's where the boomers be?
No, y'all do love that Powerball scratch off stuff.
I mean, if it gets over $1 billion, I love just about anything. Did not win a single thing, but it was exciting to think about the possibility. Mississippi Valley State fans were thinking about the possibility of some SWAC wins. Wilton, they've looked better, right? Like they've looked like a more competitive team this year. It is safe to say there could be some reasons to buckle up down in Valley.
I do. I think that the energy is different. The energy is definitely different. I think Coach Buckley has a different wave of energy coming through Itabena right now. Yes, they are 0-2, but I think that any team that sees Valley, especially when we get into conference play, I think it's going to be some pretty interesting matchups. Now, granted, this week they have Southeastern Louisiana. I don't really expect much of this I don't expect this game to be much of a real game. Again, another litmus test to see where they are and where they stand against some of the other FCS talent. You talk about Southeastern Louisiana team that, notoriously will compete in the FCS playoffs in different years and things of that nature. So I think, again, with Coach Buckley, if he can get, I'm saying this on the record, if he can get 4 wins for Mississippi Valley, that would be a strong first season for him. 4.
I would take it. If I'm a Valley fan, I would feel very good with 4 wins. Like our program was headed in the right direction. You got Valley over under 4 wins this year. You young folks like over under.
You're asking me the worst questions. Asking somebody to get fired.
I do this every week. No, you brought up the job thing. I didn't. I just said what was street saying. You started talking about people getting fired. Over under 4 wins on Valley.
Under.
Now it's gonna be hard.
Over under Wilton.
Right now I'm gonna say under.
I'm gonna go push. I'll go push. You guys are going under. I'll go push.
Poor Valley.
But I hope. I honestly hope that he can lead them to 4 wins. It will really, 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 really be good for the program.
Black people be like, I hope I'm wrong.
But I'm gonna say what I see. Kentucky State fans are hoping for a win against Grambling this weekend. In Grambling, I don't think that one's going to be close. I think Grambling will exercise all the demons that Ohio State left them with and will take it out on Kentucky State. Not one of the premier programs right now in the SIAC. No shade intended, but, that's just kind of where things fall. I say this is a get your face back, get right weekend for Grambling State, Wilton.
Absolutely. This is what Grambling is about to do, what Ohio State did to them. Essentially to Kentucky State.
Is this going to be belt to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, all of that. And it better be.
Simone, you don't know anything about those belts, do you?
Why wouldn't I know anything? You talking about like getting a whipping?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I know?
Yeah, too young.
They gave spankings like twice a year.
Twice a year?
But my mama would use her hand.
How about twice a day? Twice a year? Twice a day?
I was well behaved.
Oh, you just saved it for later. Okay.
Simone was a good child.
I don't know. I'm going to have to call Mama on that one and see.
She wouldn't even waste time getting about it. You say.
All right, so they're gonna bring out the belts in Grambling. Buckle up, Kentucky State. We think that it might be a tough weekend for you, but you never know. You never know.
We hope we wrong.
As we like to say, we hope that we are wrong. Big takeaways that you'll be looking for this weekend in the SWAC, Wilton.
SWAC wise, I want to make sure. When I think about this, that Alabama A&M and Tennessee State game, I'm looking to see what that's going to be about. Cornelius Brown, like I said, Cornelius Brown has been having a strong campaign over the first couple of weeks. Again, 2 coaches in their first seasons at their respective programs. So I'm looking to see what Coach Sam Shade is going to be able to do against that Tigers program. I think also with Albany State and FAMU, trouble could be brewing if FAMU doesn't take care of business like they need to. So that's another game I'm going to have my eyes on.
I think we're hyping this game up. I think we are officially hyping up Albany State and FAMU as being a game of consequence.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, with Jackson State and Tuskegee, as long as Jackson State takes care of the ball, limits the turnovers or not turnovers, the penalties, because the first 2 weeks they've had several penalties in like untimely situations, and then making sure special teams is on point. I think they're going to be fine. But those are the 3 probably biggest games that I'm looking to have my eyes on when it comes to the SWAC.
And it wasn't that long ago. Tuskegee handily, less than 10 years ago, handily beat Jackson State. I had a chance to talk to Coach James at Tuskegee this week. He said it was different just, right before, COVID hit, and the way the transfer portal was set up, no money legally on the table then. Division II teams could be a lot more competitive against these FCS teams. I think there was one year Tuskegee would have been the top team in the SWAC East.
No, seriously.
They beat 2 or 3 teams that year.
If you talk to the right JSU fans, because people have this notion of, well, Jackson State's been good, with TC Taylor and obviously Coach Prime, but people forget, like, before Coach Prime came, Jackson State had a long period of time that they were not winning games like that at all. So I can assure you, Jackson State's not going to take Tuskegee lightly, number one. But number two, Jackson State fans can appreciate where the program is now from Coach Prime, even into the transition with Coach Taylor. So this will be a good game for Jackson State, and I think they obviously come out with the win.
Yep, I'll be on the call there on that SWAC TV along with our guy Mo Carter. So check us out. Simone, you will be on a call this weekend.
You love making my block hot, Tolly. What call? Yeah, I'm gonna be on the phone with my mama chatting.
No. Your mama's not passing out whippings this weekend. You will be on a broadcast call, play-by-play. Play-by-play this weekend. Tell us about it.
So, disclaimer, this is my first time doing football play-by-play. Not too much.
Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short.
No, because I know, it's rough out with these social media streets.
Oh, they're going to be calling for your job.
You got to have thick skin out here. Yes, it's my first time on the job doing football play-by-play, but I'm excited. Shout out to Marvin James. He'll be my broadcast partner. But yeah.
What game are you doing? That's what we want to know. What game? No, don't whisper it. What game? Where can we watch it?
Say it with your chest.
Edward Waters versus Virginia Union. I think game time is at midnight or something.
No. No. Where can we watch it?
The game will be on ESPN Plus at 4:30.
Eastern?
Yes.
Not Central. Eastern? Okay.
Not too much on your girl. This is her first day out here.
No, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You need to crush it just like you crushed that barbell at the tailgate in Philadelphia.
If anything goes wrong, I'll just crack a few jokes and pass it to.
I do that every single week. And don't read the comments. I never read the comments. There's nothing good happening in the comments. Nothing good happening in the comments. Let them have their say, and you just collect that, collect them coins. And keep it moving.
Oh,
Wilton, thank you so much for joining us, brother. We'll have point spreads with Wilton next week. He'll come in with all the numbers for you.
Might have to look into it.
We know you're the man for the job. All right, for Wilton, for Simone, make sure you check her out this weekend. I'm Tolly Carr. We'll see you guys a little later.